On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt will be flying Han Solo as young Nick recovers from the Black Death he picked up visiting Batuu last week. Fear not, Matt will try his best to navigate the latest rumors and insights into the newly announced Mandalorian movie and what it may mean for the TV series moving forward. He'll also riff on the first official concept art from Ahsoka Season 2, some disturbing REY movie news, and an update from Diego Luna on Andor Season 2. Of course, the show will end with the question and week responses and the latest round of Top 5 Star Wars fan artist features. Punch it, Chewie.
Hey, now everybody! It's Matt by himself. It's Matt by himself. Hey now everyone, let me go ahead and get my mic stem recording here because I'm stupid. That's right, we're back. Now we're recording stuff so you can listen to it on the podcast platforms if that is your preferred platform. Glad I remembered that. Things get crazy when young Nick cancels. It's really my fault. He told me yesterday because it was MLK. Steelers playoff Monday. I did not pay attention to our Slack. Therefore, I missed young Mick's notice that he contracted the Black Plague while at Batuu. So he's still not feeling well. Hence, you get a solo show. Boo! Okay, Nick's contingent, calm down. He'll probably be back next week. I know you all hate when it's just me, but that's what you get this week, so deal with it. It was too late to send out any flares. I did try lighting the pyres of Gondor, but no one responded. So I reached out. I was hoping maybe Jared could help out, but he's a busy dude. And I didn't want to bother Connor again from Beyond the Dune Sea, who filled in last week. So you just get me. So deal with it, all right? Feel free to send the cash when needed. You can address it to myself. Nick does not get a cut of today's Cashola Fest on the SWTS. And hey, by the way, if you want to join and you're listening to this post-haste, or what's the word I'm trying to say? Posthumously. I'm stupid. Anyways, if you're listening after today and you want to join into the live streams, don't forget, usually you can find those Tuesdays, 5 p. East, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. We do them live. We do them sloppy. So, yep, just me today. I'll do my best to get through our planned segments. I considered punting on our top scenes of the Mandoverse era, but I was like, nay, I will press on. We've got shit to do. So I will still be going through the top scenes from the Mandoverse era, which includes Mandalorian Season 1, 2, 3, Book of Boba 1, Ahsoka 1. What else we got? I think that's it, right? Yeah, that's all we've had so far because Skeleton Crew didn't make it out. So I'll get to that. Maybe next week when Nick returns, we'll come back and do our top 5. So I'll still break down the top scenes from the Mandoverse era, the only scenes you need to know about, the ones that may get you sad, make you feel all nostalgic inside, depending on how old you are and how big of a Star Wars fan you may or may not be. Yeah, Jared, don't worry about it, dude. Like I said, I mean, it was very last minute. I know you got a life. You got your own things to do. So, rock and roll. Hey, thank you, Mando Pirate. Digging that purple light. I don't know if you can see it, but if you look over here in the new setup, see how we're starting to get some lights there? And that, was that the ubiquitous display? There's some lights. You might see the colors change a little bit. Last week was my last week off, so I had to finish all my tech projects that I had planned for my 4 weeks in between fall semester and spring semester. Yes, I am a professor in the real world. So I had a lot of work to get done in those 4 weeks. Upgraded the Mac. I'm now rocking Mac Studio M2 Max. I set up a NAS the past 2 weeks, so I've got network attached storage, all sorts of terabytes. I've got Matt WS right in the house. That's right. We've got our own cloud now. So all that was fun. But the last thing I wanted to do is my buddy over at Sirius sent some old gear they weren't using, some key lights, but more importantly, the Elgato strip lights. So that's what you're seeing there, Mando Pirate, the strip lights around the desk. I have them rotating right now in a profile that I have dubbed Lightsaber. That's right. So it scrolls through various lightsaber colors. Right now we're headed into the Cis preferred red, moving into the Balin orange. It's pretty cool. So I got those lights going here, got another pair behind my TV, but I'm about ready to rip those down because they're pissing me off. I don't know what it is. Maybe the tape was too old. Maybe I didn't clean the surface enough, but the one side keeps curling up and wanting to kind of wrap itself up like a hose. You know what I mean? It's like they got to wrap these LED lights into a coil, so when you take them out, they want to go back into that coil. For some reason, this motherfucker, even though it's got sticky tape, it does not want to stick, and it keeps coiling out, driving me nuts. So like I said, I might light my TV light strip on fire. But so far, the broadcast station, SWTS HQ, I'm digging the lights myself. Wish they came all the way to Grogu so you get more of the effect, but you can see some of the green on Mando Luke's dress right down there, can't you? Right, Grogu, you dig these lights, bro? I know you're gonna be a movie star one of these days now that you and Din Daddy got greenlit for your own feature film. But yeah, thanks. So I got all sorts of lights to mess around with now. You know what I mean? I can tap into my hue system from the Stream Deck. You want a little pink? You want a little purple? That supposedly is purple. I know it looks blue. It says purple to me. Who knows? There's a little green action. Do a little yellow. You guys are digging this. See? I kept myself busy. You want to go back to the Sith red? Or you like the aqua? How about that orange? That's usually what we're rolling here. I think I'm going to go back to what is known as pink, even though Mando Pirate has identified it as purple, and I agree. Who else we got in the live stream? I always like talking to my buddies in the live stream when I'm by myself. You all kind of help make me feel like I'm not a loser, you know, like I'm not completely alone in life. Like my co-hosts don't hate me. It's nice. So who we got in here? We got my boy Bat. We got Sir Dork. What's up, Bat? Yeah, no worries there, Jared. Like I said, it was last minute. We'll move on. Hey, look at this. SW Props is in here. The professional Star Wars photographer. He's out there taking pictures of the Armorer while the rest of us are taking pictures of the Armorer action figure. So kudos to SW Props and the work he's been putting in for his Star Wars life. Dude is killing it, knocking his goals down left and right. Pretty soon he's going to be in Star Wars, and hopefully he throws his dude, aka SWTS Matt, a bone. You know what I mean? Let's go. Hook me up. I want to go work a con. I want to go hang out with SW Props and his mustache that is looking so snazzy these days as he ingratiates himself deeper into the Lucasfilm team. All right, here we go. Yeah, I'm digging it too. I know Sir Dork, you know, he's got his YouTube channel. I think he streams a lot more than I do, using a lot of Elgato action. I'm now on the Elgato camera. I got the Elgato lights. I got one of the key lights, but I can't really figure out a reason to use it. My ring light here kind of comes in good. I'm digging the lighting these days. I know it's not going to be, 20-year-old influencer like or that type of shit. But for an old guy, I'll take it. You know what I mean? Look at all that gray. My mustache these days, it looks like I've been, sucking on some guy's crotch or drinking too much milk and getting it all over the place. You know what I mean? All right. So, hey, like I said, Nick's not here, but there's plenty to talk about. Hopefully you tuned in last week. I had Connor Tierney on from @Beyond the Dune Sea. They do a show over on YouTube and Spotify. Got some good feedback from him and his show. I really do appreciate the dude, even though we disagree a bit on the prequels, in particular Revenge of the Sith. But I think our conversation hopefully showed everyone that, hey, you can be a diehard Star Wars fan and not fully agree with other diehard Star Wars fans and not want to kill each other or take the discourse into the toilet or just start saying woke or stupid shit like that. So I fully enjoyed talking with Connor. I actually processed that episode before some of our old ones to start posting out on the socials. So make sure to look for those verticals of Connor and I's discussion. I'll be tagging them on at Beyond the Dune Sea, Press Pause Photography, all that type of shit. You know what I mean? Get some. Just remember, if you see those things, click on them. If you feel like it, leave a comment, share. The traction on IG just seems to be going down into the turlet, as they say. So help a fellow Star Wars brother out, if you will. And while we're talking about all the shit we have to do, the dog and pony, why don't you go ahead and like this video if you're listening, share it, let someone know it's on, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. What up? We got my man Johnny's in here. League Extraordinary Sixers is in here. Let's go. All right. So if you're on the live stream, like I said, we do this on YouTube, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. I've got an interesting piece of concept art displaying currently. And if you're in the know, you probably saw this last week. And Connor and I actually talked about last week when we revealed that The Mandalorian Grogu was a movie. But tucked into that announcement was the reveal that Lucasfilm and Disney have indeed greenlit Ahsoka for a second season. Yay! So, a few days later, we got the first piece of concept art, a handmade sketch from Dave Filoni himself. You can see it on the screen right now. It's pretty epic. I wish I could just sketch like this. I mean, I know this is just a sketch, and he could probably flesh it out, make it look much more detailed. J.O.D. Forgot you, buddy. Sorry about that. Give you your shout out. So everyone's got to get their shout out that shows up. Mando Pyra, that's another one. All right, I think I got everybody. If not, let me know, and I'll make sure to let them know. We'll get a double thumbs up for that. How we like that. Check that out. Double thumbs up equals fireworks. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you got to watch the live stream. I've got all sorts of crazy effects these days now that I'm upgraded to modern Mac OS. Anyone out there listening right now, do any of you use your iPhone with your Mac these days to kind of get that continuity camera action going? I know I'm already on a tangent, but I have to say, if you have a capable Mac and you have I don't know if it's Sonoma right now is the most current OS. If you have an app open that can either use a microphone or video, and you have, I think it's like an iPhone 14 or above next to you, you can use your iOS device as a camera or a mic. So the first thing, the camera quality, I think I was talking about this 2 weeks ago with Nick. The camera quality is stupid. I mean, like ridiculous 4K clarity. You kind of get that portrait look going where it washes out the background. It's super cool. But you can also do continuity camera where I could set this bitch just static here. I could get up moving around and the damn thing is going to follow me as if I have my own cameraman kind of sitting there scanning the room for my face. So the camera stays static. It's got to be something in the software, the 3 different cameras, but it can follow me. So I could physically stand up from my desk and start preaching the Star Wars gospel like I do, and the camera should stay on me. If anything, I'm going to try it out. Hopefully teaching, kind of get back to lecturing, get up there spitting the good word of computer science. But yeah, if you've got some modern Apple stuff in there, give it a go. You are going to be blown away by the camera quality. I mean, this Elgato is fine, just 1080p, 60 FPS. But if you use like an iPhone 14, 15 camera, it is ridiculous. I'm not going to do it live because I'll probably crash the show. You're just going to have to believe me. And maybe one day if I get on here and I look sexier than I usually do, you know I'm rocking that iPhone 14 camera as my webcam. So there you go. Not only, it keeps catching my thumbs up. So not only do you get the best Star Wars delivered to you on a weekly basis from the SWTS, but sometimes you may even get some tech insights, some tech tips that you got to try. Anyways, back to what I was talking about here to kick off the show. Like I said, we're dealing with Dave Filoni's first bit of concept art for Ahsoka Season 2. And if you're in the know, you should immediately look at this image and go, oh, okay. All right, Dave. All right. I see where you're going. I see where we're going in Season 2. And it makes me happy. So before I get into it, I'll just set it up for those of you on the podcast version here. What we see is a sketch of the God of Mortis hand, the pointing hand that Balin was standing on at the end of season 1. Up in the sky just says the story continues, but now on the sketch of that large finger pointing off into the distance, we can see Ahsoka and Sabine. So I think what Dave is telegraphing to us, and these are some of the things Nick and I were kicking around. Go check out. This episode would have been a couple months old at this point, but Nick and I essentially did 2 episodes saying, hey, if they're going to make an Ahsoka season 2, this is where we think things are going. And one of those threads, one of those speculations, hell, take it to the bank if you will, because that's how we roll here on the SWTS. We kind of discussed, well, what's going to happen with the Balin thread? Where are we going with that? Rey's dead. It sucks, but what are we going to do? Will Ahsoka and Sabine eventually kind of pick up on what he's doing? Because as we've learned post-haste, I know that's not the right thing to say, but I'm stupid. As we learned after the fact, and I think Dave himself even said it, is like, Balin is going there because he knows of the gods of Mortis, and he kind of wants to tap into that power for himself. So I think what this concept art is showing is that somehow, who knows, is it through Shin? Is it through other people on Peridea? Does Balin get there and he does something to where these Force users and Ahsoka and Sabine are like, oh shit, we need to go see what he's getting into. But it does appear at some point in time in season 2, Ahsoka and Sabine will be on Balin's trail, at least to the god of Mortis finger pointing off into the distance. So it doesn't seem like they're going to be kind of resigned to their fate, even though Ahsoka's like, hey, this is where we need to be. Well, yeah, it is where you need to be, because you need to figure out what this Balin dude is getting into and why this planet has massive mountain-size statues dedicated to the gods of Mortis. So that's pretty interesting stuff there, and I'm glad to see that Dave is not going to shy away from the gods of Mortis thread. We all kind of wondered, like what's going to happen? Ray Stevenson passed away. Are we going to recast? Do we punt on Balin's narrative? And I think we were all like, you can't do that. You can't do it. Balin's too important. This gods of Mortis stuff is too important to just kind of kick under the rug after Rey passed. So I'm not saying this concept art proves that they're going to recast Rey or Balin, but it does at least confirm that Dave is not going to shy away from continuing to really get into the deep, what we used to consider fanboy-only lore, such as the gods of Mortis. And, you just got to appreciate Dave Filoni's concept art. And if you look, he signed this in 23, so they more than likely greenlit Ahsoka before the year was up, but couldn't make the announcement until last week. Hey there's our buddy Travis Mitchell coming in here. He's got a comment on this. Let's see what he's got. So Travis is saying, I got some screens blocked here, I could see Balin maybe getting possessed and taken over by the son, Sam Witwer taking the role, Balin having to fight him internally. Yeah, I mean, I think Dave kind of came out and said, hey, this is kind of what Balin was getting into, and it confirmed, like, yeah, he was looking for the gods of Mortis stuff, potentially tapping that power. So I could get into what Travis is saying, because I think we've all kind of come to the conclusion, like, hey, Balin may think he knows what he's getting into, and he may think he's capable of dealing with it, but some of the things we talked about, like, hey, it may not even be Mortis. It could be, it may not be the monastery. It could be a ruse. It could be something to potentially let out a dark spirit. And that spirit, we've all been speculating who it could be Abeloth. So I could be down with what Travis is saying, where Balin's like, hey, yeah, I got this shit under control. He gets there, realize like, oh no, I'm screwed. And yeah, he gets taken over. And then we got to rely on the good ladies of the Force there on Peridea to figure that stuff out. And I still have to believe whatever Balin is getting into and whatever Ahsoka and Sabine may have to clean up, I really have a strong feeling that will bleed over into our known galaxy. I just put up a clip from a few shows back where we were talking about a quote from Filoni where he essentially said, like, listen, in this Mandoverse era, we can't just have we can't just have Empire versus Republic or, Empire versus Rebels again. It's got to be something different. It's got to look different. So we speculated, well, does that mean we're going to get some dark force in from another galaxy? Could it be whatever Balin unleashes on Peridia, be it Abeloth or something else? Could it be some of these other species we know from Legends, like the Yuzan Vong coming in and messing stuff up? So it's exciting. I mean, at least we know for sure now that we are getting a second season of Ahsoka. The problem with that, though, is what's going to happen to the rest of the planned kind of Mandoverse series. You know what I mean? I'll be talking about that here in a second, because last week we did get some official news. The Mandalorian Grogu is going to be a movie, but none of us know, is that movie replacing season 4? Is this something new? Is it going to be part of a new movie universe for Mandalorian? Is it going to tie into Dave's movie? So on and so forth. So we just don't know. But like I said, all sorts of news came out from last week from leakers that I trust. Now, a lot of this stuff I would still say is rumor at best. But if we kick on over to our next topic here with the Mandalorian stuff, it's just like stuff is so muddy right now. Everyone just needs to kind of take a deep breath, sit tight, wait for the good leakers to kind of make some confirmations, or just, wait for the official news here. Because things are getting wonky, at least in terms of the Mandalorian Grogu and the fate of the Mandalorian season 4. Connor and I were spinning our tires on that last week. What does this Mandalorian Grogu mean now for the TV series? Is that it? Is the movie going to replace 8 episodes of season 4? Is it going to become part of season 4? Is season 4 going to turn into more than one movie? So we didn't know jack last week, and I'd argue we still don't really know jack this week. But thanks to people or leakers out there like Making Star Wars and his buddy Bespin Bulletin, and even the Hollywood Reporter and Deadline, we have a bit more information to kind of discuss. And I don't have anyone here to kind of discuss it with, so who knows where it'll go, but I can at least report it to all you fandos live now in the chat. All right, so I kind of put this article out today. It's just a summary of a bunch of the stuff that's been coming down the pipe, be it on Reddit leaks, or you might have seen it in your Star Wars algorithm feeds, whatever you got there. But really, the Mandalorian Grogu movie mess is kind of what I'm calling it here. And, is it season 4? Is it going to be a new trilogy? Is it a hybrid that they're going to try new, where it's part TV, part movie? Who the hell knows? But there's so much conflicting information out there right now. I think a lot of it is coming from the Star Wars wing of fans that are just fucking assholes and only commiserate and talk shit about Star Wars for clicks. But that's not what I'm going to talk about now. So here we go. There's like 3 different things that have come out since last week about this Mando and Grogu movie and what it could mean to the fate of Mandalorian season 4. So let's try to parse through some of this stuff, my friends, live on the Star Wars Time Show. All right, so a lot of this is coming from our buddies over at Making Star Wars. I think their site's dead, so they just do YouTube now, or Reddit, and then Bespin Bulletin reports on some of that. So I caught a lot of this from Bespin Bulletin. All right, so Dork's out there. He's saying he is really excited for the movie. Let's see what he has to say about some of these rumors that are coming out about this movie and whatnot. Hey there, Grand Inquisitor. You see his little head popping through there? I love it. I'm going to have to start keeping Hot Toys out here to give you all something to look at, because I know you don't want to look at me just picking at my beard nonstop. I've realized that's pretty much all I do the entire show, which is why I probably have bald spots underneath my chin. So go me. Anyways, here we go. So I want to preface this with none of these are stone cold locks at this point in time. everything that I'm about to talk about should be considered a rumor at best. I'm just going to kind of give you what was reported, what was quoted, give you my spin. We'll go from there. All right, we good with that? Good. Excellent. Appreciate you. Look, now when I want the thumbs to come up, it won't do it. You got to love technology. How about this thumb? Is this thumb better? Is this better for you? You want the 2 thumbs now? There we go. You'll do 2 thumbs, not 1. Yes, I am talking to my operating system. Things get weird in your 40s, especially when you work from home in your basement all day long. Okay, so option 1 for The Mandalorian Grogu and its effect on The Mandalorian Season 4. We get a new Mandoverse trilogy of films. Now, this is kind of something Connor was setting up last week. All right, this is before any of these rumors even came out. So kudos to Connor. Tune in to last week's episode because he did kind of bring up like, hey, what if the Mandoverse era just starts becoming movies? And it's like, hey, what if? You never know. Well, guess what? That is now possibly a thing. Like I said, this is going to be one of these rumors floating around right now about the fate of the Mandoverse. So this one comes from MSW via Bespin Bulletin. And apparently MSW has heard through their sources that the Mandoverse movie, Mandalorian and Grogu, and then obviously Dave's already announced Mandalorian crossover, could eventually become a trilogy of Mandalorian films. So here's the exact quote. My source, my original source, who first told me this season, being season 4 being a movie, has told me that this is going to be a trilogy. Okay? So that's a source telling Jason over at Making Star Wars, like, listen, dude, remember how I told you that season 4 may become a movie? Well, now that that's a thing, it's out there, well, we may, or Lucasfilm may turn this whole thing into a trilogy now. Now, what I'm going to read you next, this is just Jason's own speculations. This is not coming from a source here. So he says, I'm going to add a caveat, which is just my sense on it, is that it's a trilogy if the first one connects. The first one being Mandalorian Grogu. So if that is a big film, they'll make 2 more. If the first one doesn't and makes Indiana Jones money, then they'll just do the 2 already announced and wash their hands of it. So what Making Star Wars is guessing based on the information he's heard is like, all right, if the Mandalorian Grogu kills it at the box office, there's a good chance we're now going to have a trilogy of Mandoverse movies. So it'd be Mando and Grogu, Dave Filoni's crossover, and then a unannounced, unnamed project. If Mando and Grogu does not do well at the box office and just kind of, has a middling effort, then we're just going to get Mando and Grogu and then the already announced Dave Filoni crossover movie. So I don't know. I mean, I guess this is better than just a movie replacing 6 episodes because now you pretty much you have a trilogy. And Star Wars fans, we like our trilogies, I guess depending on when you were born and when you watched them. But we are kind of used to Star Wars stories being told in trilogies. So I dig that fact. And if you did add another movie, you technically could argue that you're making up for at least another 2 or 3 episodes of a scrapped 4th season of The Mandalorian. So I'm not completely out on a potential Mando trilogy, but I'm greedy, I'm gluttonous when it comes to Star Wars. I'm always going to stick to, I would take the Mando and Grogu movie and Mando season 4. I like the slow boil of Star Wars TV. I like that you can go deeper into the lore, spend more time on some shit that some people might think is stupid, but I like that stuff. I love the little lore moments, kind of the side episodes. And I also like the formula that Mandalorian's had over the first 3 seasons where you have this overarching plot point you need to complete, but then you kind of have the story of the day adventure that might get wrapped up in an episode or 2 episodes, something like that. So I will definitely miss out on that if we end up with this trilogy here. The other option, all right, coming out from Making Star Wars here, is that the Mandalorian Grogu movie would act as a finale to season 4 of The Mandalorian. Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now, like if if I was in the executive meeting room with Lucasfilm, and they're like, listen, Matt, we've got X amount of dollars. You can only have these 3 choices to get more Mandalorian stories, being the trilogy, the Mando and Grogu movie, plus some episodes of the TV, or the last thing, which is just no season 4. I would take this option here. So Mandalorian Grogu would serve as a finale to the 6 episodes of The Mandalorian season 4. So again, this is coming from Making Star Wars via Bespin Bulletin, and like I said, you would get 6 episodes airing on Disney Plus, and then the finale episodes, which are we've kind of gotten used to in Mandalorian. Episodes 7 and 8 kind of feed into each other and have a big payoff in the end. So those finale episodes 7 and 8 would then become the movie. All right, so here's what Jason had to say over at Making Star Wars. One of the concepts has come out of this, count this as a rumor for now, is that the plan was to do 6 episodes of Mando season 4 and to take the finale, what would have been the finale, the big 2-parter, from the end of that, and that's being developed into the film, The Mandalorian and Grogu. So like I said, if the decisions are, and I'm talking about Mandalorian season 4 and beyond, if it is, hey, let's either do a movie trilogy, let's do some Mando TV and a Mando movie, or no Mando TV at all and nothing to account for season 4, I'm going to go with this option right here. The Mandalorian and Grogu movie combined. You know, kind of some Mighty Morphin Power Ranger shit. You get the TV shows go first, then the movie comes next, and when they combined, they create this juggernaut known as The Mandalorian Season 4 plus some. Okay? I think it's a great idea, and if you think about it, it could get both casuals and us nuts into the theaters. I mean, us nuts are going to be there anyways, but let's say you're a casual. You're like, all right, I can handle this. Mandalorian Season 3 really wasn't up to snuff for me, but knowing this one's only 6 episodes and then we're going to get a movie, I'm going to check it out again. And you really have great 6 episodes. You really build towards this insane finale climax. And then it's like, oh, well, to see the rest, you're going to have to wait a few months and go to the movies to see The Mandalorian Grogu. So I kind of dig that. I think that gives me a little bit of what I want. I'm still going to get part of a season, so there's going to be opportunities for those lore moments. But then we're also going to get a movie event, which is something I've been missing out on since 2019. So I think this is probably the most unlikely because it would require the most time and money. But on paper, if we are scrapping Mando Season 4 altogether and you're only going to get a movie, this is how I want to go. All right, let me check the live stream chat here. We got our buddy Johnny asking a question. Johnny is saying, would you want to see Mando Grogu movie where they left off season 3 or more of what Nick hates, an origin story? Well, Johnny, it depends on some of these rumors, but there's great potential to pick up right where they left off, or, you know, they're on their first mission for the New Republic. It was already established in Mandalorian Season 3. You know, he went out there and talked to our boy Carson Taven, like, hey, listen, bro, me and dude, we're here for you. He's an apprentice now. We need to get out there. I got to train him up, get him on some missions. So we do have that established that Din and Grogu would be working for the New Republic in some form of Ranger role. So I don't think we need an origin story. So I do believe it would be picking up where things left off and probably accounting for at least a quarter, if not more, of what Favreau had already written for Mandalorian Season 4. That's what we got to remember, everyone. John had season 4 in the can before season 3 came out. So those stories were etched in stone. It just depends, what are they going to do now that Lucasfilm is saying, hey, we're getting itchy with this shit, with the strike, this, that, and the other thing. We need a Star Wars movie back in theaters. What do you think about turning it into a movie? So who knows? Yeah, I'm with you, Matt Palanca. And Connor kind of mentioned it last week. He's like, this announcement, this Mando and Grogu, it stinks of studio meddling. And I have to agree. I mean, making Star Wars tipped this off months ago, before the strikes were resolved. He's like, listen, they're talking about this, and it makes sense from the money guys and girls perspective up there. Like, hey, how can we get something in front of our fans as fast as possible for as cheap as possible, where we're going to make the most potential money possible? Now those aren't things that a creative would be thinking about, and the creative being Jon Favreau. So yeah, I still think all this, everything we're talking about, even the official Mandalorian Grogu movie, I agree with Connor from Beyond the Dune Sea. I do think it's studio meddling, sadly. So I don't think Favreau is thrilled. And deep down, I'm sure Filoni's not happy either, but being CCO now, I'm sure he can't voice those opinions out loud. So he's probably like, yeah, Kathy and Bob, sounds like a great idea. I'll stamp it if you need me to, so you don't kill me. You know what I mean? All right. Well, hey, the thumbs up worked this time. What about thumbs down? Can we get a thumbs down? We got a thumbs down. Let's get the laser lights going. Sometimes I get lost here. Can we get the laser lights? Yeah! Rock and roll, Star Wars time. It's like we're at an 80s concert. I love it. I forget all the other reactions that can be done. Shit's so silly. Oh, right, that's right, the heart. You guys want some love today? I'm going to give you some love. Give you some love for Mando news. All right, there you go. Rain, I think's double thumbs down, possibly. All right, I'll quit wasting your time. What's the confetti? Ooh, confetti. See, small brain, quick to be entertained. You know what I mean? Okay, so the last option here, and the one I'm not, I guess I can't hate, but it definitely worries me a lot. And this one dropped earlier today from the Hollywood Reporter, and the Mandalorian Season 4 is just not a priority, but they're also saying that it is not just completely canceled. So, like I said, the Hollywood Reporter is hinting that Mandoverse storytelling does seem, at least from their sources, that it is transitioning into a theatrical production versus TV. So that kind of corroborates or lines up with some of the stuff that Making Star Wars was saying. But yeah, the season 4 not being a priority, the movie is a thing. That's what worries me the most. Is like, hey, we're just gonna do the movie. If the movie and this is all like behind the scenes. Hey, if the movie makes money, we'll let them do another movie. If the movie doesn't make money, fuck it. So what we're looking at here for sure is at least The Mandalorian Grogu and Ahsoka Season 2 and Skeleton Crew. Now, depending on some of these rumors, it sounds like we could get a more fleshed out version of The Mandalorian, at least Season 4, beyond the movie. And I really hope that's the case because I'm not a fan of taking 8 episodes or a script that equal 8 episodes of content and turning it into a 2-hour or less movie. Because if they do just do a movie, it's not going to be much more than 2 hours. And that worries me because there's going to be a lot of stuff that John is going to be asked to trim. And some of that shit getting trimmed could be gold. Lore gold, lore nuggets, as we like to call them here at the SWTS. Hey, listen, Mando Pirate, I know Mando Pirate's saying money is most important to Disney. Well, I know everyone rags on Disney these days for some of their choices and making money grabs, but that's any company. You got to remember, they don't answer to creatives or even really customers. They answer to the stock and their shareholders, and usually their shareholders are really, really rich people, so they'll do whatever they need to do to make that stock go up, and a lot of times that's not going to be to the benefit of the consumer, and it's definitely not going to benefit the artist in this situation. So That's just capitalism 101. So I mean, we can definitely rag on Disney for going for the cash, but that is literally the fundamental building block of our American society. All right, this capitalistic society warrants that you literally try to make as much money as possible at the detriment of everything else. All right, but hey, as long as you're the one at the top making that money, it's a good fucking deal. You know what I mean? All right, so there we go on the Mandalorian. Moving forward, still as clear as mud, but there are some rumors out there that get me a little excited that it's not just going to be the Mandalorian Grogu. All right, so hopefully it's Mandalorian season 4 starts on TV, ends in movies. That would be my ideal if season 4 goes away altogether. Second would be the trilogy. So Mando and Grogu does well. That green lights a third Mandoverse movie. The fourth option, where Mando season 4 is not a priority and we're just going to focus on movies, that one worries me the most. All right, everyone, thanks for tuning in, but it's not the end of the show. I know you guys were getting worried there. Just want to remind everyone to give us a sub, like what you're watching, share it around, turn on those notifications if you know what is good for you. Whew! All right, you want to talk about a Star Wars story that has been all over the place the past few days, including just a few hours ago. I don't know how many of you keep your ear to the street like I do, but smashed together donuts. Bad. I've seen that too. That's like a new trend. I don't understand it. People go to Krispy Kreme, which they taste fine just as is, but they'll take like 2 dozen, smash them as far as they can get, and then take a big bite out of them and be like, yeah, I basically just ate 12 donuts in one bite. It's like, okay. Can you take the follow-up video when you were dying of diabetes in a hospital? And why would you want to waste that type of food? How much food gets wasted on all these fucking vertical shorts on social media? That's what I want to know. Because there's a lot of good-looking food there, and it looks like you're just making it to make a video, and I hope it is getting eaten, okay? Because I don't eat a lot of good food throughout the week, else I'll get really fat. I don't like being fat. I like looking somewhat slim because I am a short man, and if I put on any amount of weight, I look like Jabba the Hutt. But yeah, the smashed donut craze, whatever, man. I guess I'm just getting too old. Or that's what I should do, because it's not like anyone watches our thoughtful content. So instead of talking Star Wars, every Tuesday, Nick and I should just come on here and eat random shit. Or, copy the Hot Ones podcast and just try to eat hot stuff until one of us has to go to the ER or dies live on the stream. You know what I mean? All right. So, as I was setting up there's another story going around. It's popped up over the past few days. And obviously, some of the big names, some of the trolls out there have just latched onto this like it's gospel. Everybody's favorite mega Star Wars YouTube channel creator, Star Wars Theory. I just saw it before we went live. The story I'm about to talk about it, and I'll talk about it with thought and actually give you all the information. The way this dude decided to kick it off with his audience, the title of his video, REY Movie Canceled. You gotta love that type of shit. I mean, I guess I understand why he does it, but what makes me funny is when he bitches that when people come after him for, creating clickbait or being divisive. But anyways, what I'm talking about and what Theory was trolling his fans over is there's some smoke fuming up around the REY-led movie. All right, we know this is a real movie. It's been announced. It was technically supposed to be the first movie out of the gate, but with the news last week that Mandalorian Grogu was going to take that spot, that led to a lot of sites out there to start getting creative with, hey, well, the REY movie's probably canceled because the director talked all that woke shit, and just started running with all sorts of random stuff here, including today. Like as we can see here at the start of today, or maybe even the end of yesterday, the word was Daisy Ridley's untitled Rey Skywalker Star Wars movie is delayed indefinitely. Stephen Knight may be exiting. He's not turning in his scripts. Everything sucks. This is what you get, Disney, when you hire women, you woke motherfucking panderers. It was starting to get that stuff going. Like I said, based on this report, Star Wars Theory ran with a video or a live stream titled REY Movie Canceled. I don't quite see how we get that just out of the title, but here we go. This is what you should do when you see stuff like that. You got to dig into it here. All right, so this report comes from World of Real, which Bespin Bolton says is somewhat legit, but not for Star Wars news. So right there, you should already be like, okay, what's going on here? But essentially, this World of Real is reporting that Disney has internally delayed the Rey film indefinitely. And that's the reason they pivoted to the Mandalorian and Grogu last week. And the reason they did this is because there's problems plaguing this film. A lot of creative issues, and Stephen Knight doesn't like it, and he turned in a script and there were so many notes. He's like, fuck this, I'm going to go work on my Peaky Blinders movie. And it's like, okay, all right, whatever. And, you know, I guess apparently Making Star Wars last week said that he had heard about some of the Stephen Knight drama and him not turning in a draft yet. But, I mean, he said, and this is Making Star Wars, I'm not saying he's going to write it or not. I don't know. You know, scheduling and stars did not align. So, you know, maybe Knight is working, maybe he's not, maybe he's still writing a draft, maybe he's not. But I don't know how you draw the line that, hey, this movie's canceled, we won, woke, you know, MAGA wins, or whatever the fuck people are running with this story. Because here's the funny part. All right, so all this noise comes out last night, this morning, and then a few hours later, we got Gizmodo coming out here. You know, that is a site I would probably trust a little bit more than World of Real, because they're a corporate site and people are paid to work here. And they're coming out saying, no, Rey's Star Wars movie hasn't been delayed. So now you know why I've stopped doing a lot of news posts on StarWarsTime.net, because a lot of the news coming out the past year or so has been nothing but this. One site saying, hey, the other site saying, pump the brakes. And then it changes the next day. And 7 days later, when we're ready to do the next show, it could be on the 18th version of what was initially reported. Hey now, there's our boy Devin Doty joining up in the chat. We got him and Props in the stream for the first time in decades. Let's celebrate with a double peace sign. Okay. I don't know what double peace. Oh, double peace gives us confetti. Kick ass. All right. So anyways, like I said, Gizmodo's coming out combating these reports that the Rey movie is dead. All right. So Gizmodo is saying, you can take that latest Star Wars rumor and throw it in the Sarlacc pit. I'm actually starting to think Gizmodo was written by AI, but whatever. So like I said, earlier this week, rumors surfaced that the upcoming Charmin Oboy-Chinoy Star Wars film featuring Return of Daisy Ridley as Rey had been delayed indefinitely. The reason? Creative differences with the film's writer Stephen Knight. Well, that's not true, according to Lucasfilm. A source at the company told IO9 the report is inaccurate and Knight continues to write and be part of the process. In fact, the company is waiting on his latest draft as you read this. All right, so, you know, obviously, all this could be a bunch of bullshit. I mean, Lucasfilm could be telling IO9 a bunch of bullshit just to kind of shut things up. Because sometimes in the rumor world, especially with Star Wars, where there's smoke, there's definitely fire. But who knows? So, you know, like Gizmodo's saying, it's not like, you know, it's not like they can say with 100% that they're right or that these other rumors are correct, but they're at least willing to come out on the record and say that their source at Lucasfilm is denying the Rey is canceled or Rey is delayed indefinitely. Stephen Knight's a communist that hates how Lucasfilm wants to get on creatively. So it's just one of those stories where, and it doesn't just have to be Star Wars. I just ask all of you in life to stop getting sucked in by clickbait, this inflammatory stuff, and read beyond the headline, okay? Read beyond the headline. Start digging around. Where are these reports coming from? World of Real? Okay, who's that? If you're asking yourself, who's that? Right there, you should be like, okay, this report could be suspect. So I don't know. I'm going to lean with Gizmodo because they had an actual Lucasfilm source. Not saying that Making Star Wars or World of Real does not. But since they were willing to kind of, this Jermaine Lussier here was willing to put their name on it, they must be confident. So I don't think the REY movie is delayed indefinitely, but it very well could not be the first movie out of the gate now, because the writing is taking longer than they thought. Now, that doesn't mean it's canceled. It just means it might not be the first Star Wars movie out of the gate since TROS. That now is very much looking like The Mandalorian Grogu, because they should start shooting that over the next few months. So there's your boy. There's your show, SWTS, just schooling you all on the land of Star Wars news, what's clickbait, what's not, and how to process it all. All right? You're welcome. I know you all appreciate that. I do it for you all, because I don't want any of you getting caught looking like an idiot out there talking smack about stuff that isn't real. Okay, we got one more little newsy thing before I dive into this week's special topic. Like I said, I'm going to be going through our top scenes from the Mandoverse era. It kind of makes sense to keep this topic today with all the Mandoverse content we are talking about. But before we get there, we got one more little update, and this is an official update, and it's a positive update, unlike some of these initial stories I've been talking about. But I think it was last night, possibly at the Emmys, someone caught hold of Diego Luna and asked him about Andor Season 2, and he revealed that he only has 7 days left of filming on Andor Season 2, and he was headed back to London today to begin that work. So, like I said, it's I'll read his quote here. Here's what Diego said. "It's the finale. It's second and last season, and we're a few days away from being done. Because of the strikes, we had to stop. I'm going back to shoot now, and we're working hard. Same team, same people, same rigor, and we're trying to deliver something as good or even better, hopefully. It's getting so close to Rogue One. So many things you're expecting to happen will happen." So, yeah, good stuff there, right? I mean, we all knew Andor Season 2 would not be coming out this year because it did not finish filming. I'm not even sure why this is news to some people, but hey, it's a slow day. Nick's not here. Why not burn up some of my hot air on this news, which I find to be quite like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. But it's good to know they're almost done, which means they could be getting close to post-production, which means, Andor Season 2 would be moving into its second phase, which is post, which means it's just getting closer to seeing the light of day. Now, what's not clear is does Diego only have 7 more days, or is that the whole production only has 7 more days? The way he was talking, it sounds like he only has 7 more days to shoot. Yeah, he says, I have a few days to shoot because of the strike. So that doesn't mean the production itself is going to end. So everyone should still kind of keep their eye on 2025 for Andor Season 2. Now, who knows what's going to happen with the Mandoverse? But I would think if Andor can get done this year, get some good post in, there is possibility that Andor Season 2 could be one of the first live-action shows on Disney Plus out of the gate in 2025. All right, so we'll just have to kind of keep our eyes on that. But Andor, about ready to get back to filming, and our star is headed off to get some work in, to do the work. Hey there, Nova. Welcome to the party. Yeah, Mando Pirate, that's a great point. And we'll talk about that real quick before we move on here. Mando Pirate's saying here, I love not how people suddenly start attacking people's views when they get news they don't want. Yeah, I mean, that's Star Wars for you. And that's why I said early on, I mean, if you listen to Connor and I last week, we clearly don't see eye to eye on more than a few things in Star Wars, but we also didn't sit here and start calling each other's names or saying one is less than the other because of how they feel about a certain Star Wars movie or TV show. It can be done. And I just want to reiterate that, it's fun to talk to people that don't share the same opinion. And some of the feedback I got from Connor was good. For this narcissist, it's a type of feedback I needed to hear. he basically said like, hey dude, it was actually way more cool than I thought being on the show with you and kind of seeing how you work versus how we work and what you do well and what we may try to kind of pick up from you. So I appreciate when the young ones pay a little homage to us elder Star Wars statesmen out there. All right, so thanks again there, Connor. League, that's another, hey, might as well talk to the fans a bit before we switch segments. So thanks, Mando Pirate. You guys are giving me a virtual co-host at least. But League's making another point here. She's one of our few female friends, so we appreciate the hell out of her. But League's saying, imagine being female and having a Star Wars opinion. I can only imagine. It's probably 10 times worse, 30 times worse than us men, because we all know how super Star Wars fans deal with females and their opinions. And God, hell, they go nuts if a female is in a lead role, and a powerful female at that. So I can only imagine, League, we speak your name, stay strong, and fuck those haters, right? That's we can also say that. So thanks again for those of you in the live chat. I like the feedback. If you got any questions while I'm spitting, go ahead and plop them in there, and I might get to them if it makes sense. If I got to pause, or if it's a really, really good question that's going to take me on a tangent, I feel like going down. So keep it up. Thanks, everyone. Keep subbing up there. If you have not done so, don't forget StarWarsTime.net as well if you want to hit the podcast platforms. If you are on a podcast platform, make sure to leave a rating and review. That shit really helps on Spotify, iTunes, Google, the big ones. So rate that shit. Rate it. Even if you're a live stream watcher, go ahead and sign up on the podcast too. If you haven't done it yet, either do it on Spotify or iTunes, because I think they're the biggest ones. We want the numbers over there. Okay, so that takes us into this week's special topic. We started this, way back in 2023, I believe, when Nick and I kind of recounted our favorite scenes from the prequels. Then we did our favorite scenes from Andor, Rogue One, and the OT. Now it's time to talk about the top scenes from the Mandoverse era. So to me, the Mandoverse era includes Mandalorian Season 1, 2, and 3, The Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka. If we got Skeleton Crew in before the strike, that would have been in there too, but alas, we did not. So this is where we are at. So Nick's not here, which is kind of a bummer. So I'm going to have to just go through and talk about all these from kind of my perspective and why they're awesome. But I do think next week when we start, if Nick is alive, we'll at least kind of recap this with our top 5. So he can get a little play on here since he did pick his 5 top Mandoverse era scenes. All right, we ready for this, live streamers? Here we go. Without further ado, the top Mandoverse era scenes. And these really aren't in any order. I just kind of keep them in chronological order here, so bear with me. But the first one I'm going with here, and I know we've all have said the line at least once or twice because of this scene, but I got to lead with the opening sequence for the Mandalorian S1E1, the premiere. In particular, we get to hear, I can take you in hot or cold for the first time. And I really think this opening sequence just set the tone for the Mandalorian Season 1 and beyond. Din was still in his Durasteel armor. He was looking a little rough. He wasn't in that nice uniform chrome. He barely talked. We didn't know shit about him yet. We just knew he was a bounty hunter and he was a Mandalorian and he had a cool looking helmet. We see him go to this icy world. He walks into that bar, fucks some dudes up, cuts them in half, and then grabs his target, who ultimately goes on to help him in Season 2. But it was just the look, feel, this scene, and then obviously getting the line for the first time, I can take you in hot, I can take you in cold. Which, like I said, many of us have either recreated in Star Wars art, be it toy photography, paintings, or we've at least said either in live streams or to other Star Wars fans for probably the past, when did Mando Season 1 come out? 2019 at this point? Wow. We're coming up on almost 5 years, believe it or not. So that is the first top scene from the Mandoverse era. The first time we get to see Din do his thing. All right. the next scene to discuss, same episode, same series, but how can you not reflect upon the ending of The Mandalorian S1E1, again, the premiere? You know, we just had a kick-ass battle with our boy IG and Mando, and they're going to get their quarry. And you're like, okay, what's this going to be? What is it? Is it? We know where they're looking for a 50-year-old. Where are they? I don't see a 50-year-old anywhere. And then the camera pans to this little, almost bassinet-looking egg. And then if you're on the stream, we get the pull out in this shot, and you realize that their bounty, the quarry they are going for, yeah, it's 50 years old, but it was a baby, and it was a baby Yoda. I know at this point in time, nearly 5 years later, Grogu, aka Baby Yoda, may make some of you sick because of how he's been used to, kind of commercialize the Mandalorian and really drive some sales. And he potentially was brought back in the Book of Boba because of all that type of shit. But this moment, the first time you saw it, I don't care where you were, who you were with, what you were doing, I guarantee you remember all of it. Because it's just one of those Star Wars moments that gets burned into your brain. Because it looked awesome. It was shot very well. It was a surprise. No one expected it to happen. No one in their wildest dreams would ever been like, oh, yeah, we're going to see a new Yoda type of character in The Mandalorian. I mean, no one was thinking that way. And then Favreau pulls this shit out the end, and it just completely changed my expectations for this series, for Star Wars TV moving forward. It was like an epiphany moment. It was just one of those Star Wars moments, like I said, that you're never going to forget what was going on in your life when it happened. And like I said, this shot is just, it's a piece of art. It could be up there with some of the religious paintings that people fawn over. If you're not on the live stream, it's the shot of Grogu in his, whatever the hell I forget what we call it right now, but just sticking his little hand up and Din sticking his finger down. It's almost like a silhouette. It's just beautiful. Everything about this moment just kicked ass. It's probably one of the best moments to date from the Mandoverse era. And it looks like League and Sir Dork agree with me in the chat. So we're going to move along, sticking with Mandalorian. But we're crossing into season 2 now. All right. So yeah, the Darksaber reveal, that was cool and all that, but we're talking like the very top scenes, the scenes where you're like, oh shit, or the scenes you remember, or the scenes where something major happened narrative wise. So the one we're talking about now, if you're on the live stream, is Ahsoka's arrival in live action, with the bonus caveat of also learning Baby Yoda's real name, Grogu. Okay, this moment happened in season 2. I think it was episode 5, and it's still one of the best overall episodes of The Mandalorian in general. But the reason it's a top scene from this era is because, like I said, it is the moment, it is the episode, it is the scene where Ahsoka Tano, a fan favorite character that didn't start as a fan favorite, but a fan favorite character from the Clone Wars animated franchise. 7 seasons of storytelling. She's all over the place. She showed up in Rebels. I mean, she is a dog, all right? So when you finally get her in live action, and you realize that this important character, Anakin Skywalker's Padawan, is now moving into live action and has potential to give us more stories, fill in some lore gaps, to paint a better picture of what happened to her after the animated series. It was amazing. So yes, this scene makes it. And like I said, you get the bonus of learning through her that Baby Yoda, the child, actually had a name, and it is Grogu. Plus, we got some insights into his past. The fact that he was at the Jedi Temple during Order 66. We didn't know a lot of this stuff until Ahsoka revealed it in this moment. So, yes, Ahsoka's arrival in live action, 100% a top scene of this era. It's wild now if we're looking at the image. I mean, just think about how much Rosario's costume or the Lekus have changed since this debut. You know, they've gotten a little longer. They've taken some of the fan feedback, but this is the first time we saw Snips in live action, and it was a banger. I mean, the whole episode's great. Morgan was introduced. Beskar spears and how they're illegal and the lore behind that. It's just quality Star Wars here. That's right. Look at League's getting all excited here. League loves herself some Ahsoka, so she just passed out in her seat. Gotta love it. All right, next scene from this era that makes the top moment list. And those of you that have been with me or been with Nick and I for a long time now, or at least the dawn of the SWTS, I know you'll have a little smile about this, because on the screen you are seeing a character that I used to talk a ton of shit about. A ton of shit. A lot of Star Wars fans called this dude the GOAT. I called him the bozo. Yes, we're talking about Boba Fett. He was redeemed via this scene. The scene I'm talking about, Season 2 of The Mandalorian on Tython. The return of Boba. All right, so this is where he shows up. He's been tracking Din for forever, really since Season 1 when him and that dude took out Fennec. But he finally tracks him to Tython, runs into Din, is like, hey, pal, I want my fucking armor back, please. You know, they talk a little shit. And then eventually Din's like, all right, cool, dude. Yeah, you can have that. Just help me here. With these stormtroopers are showing up trying to take my kid. Okay, so after that happens, we get to see the Boba Fett that all of you were telling me that I should have known about, the GOAT version of Boba Fett. Before he even gets his acid-washed armor, dude's breaking skulls with his gaffy stick, smacking stormtroopers across the face. But then we see him eye up the Razor Crest. We know what's in there. The scene shifts back to Din and Fennec. Din's doing his best bullet sponge impression. And then out of nowhere, from the heavens, Boba Fett in his armor descends upon these Imperial Remnant forces and just lays waste to them. We're talking knee rockets, spinning pistols, shooting stuff out of his gauntlets. It was just a spectacle to see. And for the first time in my Star Wars life, I was like, yeah, these crazy motherfuckers that were telling me that Boba Fett from the original trilogy is a dude, now I actually see this dude they speak of, and he is the dude, like a dog type of dude, and I loved it. I mean, everything changed for me in that character. I probably now own more Boba Fett Hot Toys figures than any other character. It makes no sense. I chased away half of our new audience because of my negative opinions on the formerly known as Bozo Fett. But here we are. A man can change. A Star Wars fan can change his mind if there is evidence to elicit such change. And we got that in The Mandalorian via this scene. Yeah, you know what? Sir Dork reminds me, he's saying top Star Wars moment is Matt's angry monologue after this episode debut. And Jared, you're right. It was up until this episode, he was still Bozo Fett to me, and you fans would get under my skin like, no, you're an idiot, he's awesome. Okay, and then this episode, I think this episode did happen, and then that's when we just whipped out the flamethrowers, like, yeah, see, you stupid idiots. This is the actual Boba Fett you're telling me about, not the bozo from the original trilogy. And I started calling out people by names and basically like, you're a loser, you're a fucking idiot, you're dumb. And they're like, hey, that's not nice. And they left, so... I haven't really done one of those scorched earth fan dress downs in quite some time, but thank you for reminding me, Jared. But it was a fun moment in Star Wars time show history. If that moment didn't happen, we'd probably have 10,000 fans by now. Because like I said, I'm pretty sure that wiped out 2/3 of our audience and it never recovered. That's a double thumbs down for that one. Or we'll just get a single thumbs down. Thank you, Mac. All right, but hey, he's my man now. Love Tamara Morrison. Was mostly a fan of Book of Boba Fett, but this scene on Tython with him knocking heads, taking names, stealing armor, explaining why the armor belongs to him to Din. Just classic quality Boba. All right, next scene here. This one might surprise some of you. We're looking at Bill Burr, also known as Mayfeld, even though he pretty much is Bill Burr in Star Wars. But I have to say, even though Bill does not like Star Wars and he makes fun of people like us, I get it. He's a comedian. I'm not one of these people that gets upset when a comedian makes fun of my stuff. It's okay. I actually wish Bill Burr would just make fun of me talking about Star Wars. You never know. But the scene I'm talking about, it was a very poignant moment in The Mandalorian Season 2. I think it was episode 7. This is after they break Mayfeld out of the New Republic scrapyard, and because they need his help to break into this island base so Din can look for Gideon's ship. Right, there's the setup here. So whatever happens, Mayfeld and Din, they get paired together. They make it all the way to the Imperial base. They're in, a tank trooper disguise. They end up sitting down with an arrogant Imperial officer, a captain, who starts kind of going into Operation Cinder. And or just being a dickhead. And Mayfeld kind of replies and he's like, oh yeah, Operation Cinder. Oh yeah, when you guys essentially decide to kill all my friends and my whole unit and all that type of shit. And at first the officer's like, hey, what's this guy? He's just fucking around. Like, we're just reminiscing. We're talking war stories. But eventually you could start to tell, and even Din's like, oh shit, what is Mayfeld about to do? This isn't good. But eventually Mayfeld just like, you know what, motherfucker, fuck you, and just ices the dude, an Imperial officer in an Imperial base, in the lunchroom, around a bunch of shore troopers, stormtroopers, other officers. It was just a great moment. It made the character of Mayfeld feel more like just Bill Burr doing Star Wars stand-up. And it showed that, some of the people that served in the Empire, they were no fans of the Empire. They lost a lot too. They were asked to do horrible things, and horrible things were committed upon them by their superior officers. So it was a great moment for a character that, hey, we may never see again. But I do believe, because of this episode and this speech in particular that Mayfeld took part in, and the cold-blooded 187 he does to end the speech, it's people remember that, and it's a standout scene from the Mandoverse era. Hence, it's on this list. Okay. Sticking with The Mandalorian, still in season 2, and this one is a no-brainer. I mean, let's be real, people. This is the greatest scene from this era to date. I doubt it's ever going to be beaten, and I'm talking about Luke Skywalker, Red 5's rescue in Mandalorian S2E8, the big finale. All the good guys, they're locked on the bridge. They got Gideon. He's talking shit. He's like, the Dark Troopers are coming back. You have no way to turn them off. You're all screwed. Bad guys win again. And then what do we see? We see an X-Wing fly into the bay. And I'll never forget this moment. This is another one kind of like the end of Mandalorian Season 1 E1 when we get the Baby Yoda reveal. But you're sitting there, the ship's coming in. And even then, I'm like, no way. They're not going to do Luke. There's no way they're bringing Luke in. They don't need to. On my podcast a week later, I basically said I'd cut off my own dick if they brought Luke in, because it's crazy. You can't do it. And sure enough, the X-Wing comes in. I'm still holding. I'm like, nah, that's not going to be Luke. They can't do Luke. And, you see this black cloaked figure. And I'm like, yeah, it's okay. Might be Luke, but no, it can't be Luke. Can't be Luke. And then you see the hilt come out and the blade light. And you're like, Luke! It's Luke! They did it! They did it! I don't know why they did it, but I love it! It's like, all the feels that we experienced as a Star Wars fanboy and girl community. I mean, come on. How is this not the best scene from this era, if not one of the greatest Star Wars scenes of all time when you really think about it? It was the surprise. It was just, I was so against the mains being brought into the Mandoverse. I didn't even want someone like Boba Fett to be brought into the Mandoverse. It's all kind of worked out in the end, but you don't need a Luke, you don't need a Han, you don't need a Leia. But they went with it, and it was awesome. It's one of those fan moments that it does get me emotional. I mean, every time I watch this scene, it's not the same punch. It's not the like, oh, I guys love being Star Wars fans. I love Luke. I love R2. Oh my God. I remember them from when I was a little kid. You know, that type of shit. But it still hits me because it hits me for the feels that I get from my own Star Wars experience, thinking about, the shit with my dad. And that was kind of like one of our only things we bonded over. Really the only thing we bonded over in life. It's just such a great moment. Not to mention the visuals of it. I mean, dude keeps his hood essentially pulled down to his mouth the whole time and just weighs laced. No, that's what you do with drugs. He lays waste to an entire Imperial cruiser. I mean, no one made it out of there alive. I mean, he takes out Dark Troopers like they're toys. I mean, he made the Dark Troopers look like B-1 battle droids. It was fantastic. So you get the nostalgia of Luke Skywalker being there. You get the visuals, and you also, as a fan, you're like, okay, yeah, this is 7 year post Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker. I can dig that. He definitely feels like a little bit more than a Jedi Knight at this point in time. Hell, I might give him the Jedi Master title at this point in time, something his father could never achieve. It was great, and it even the payoff at the very end where the doors open and he whips off the hood to kind of get uncanny Luke. Even still, it didn't matter. Fantastic Star Wars moment. Not only the best of this era, but probably a top 5 live action Star Wars moment of all time. And I might need to write that down, right? We might need to do now that once we get through all of these, I think Nick and I either have to do like our top 10 or top 5 overall scenes, right? How's that sound? Overall live action franchise scenes. How's that? And one of these days, I'm going to have to get him to start watching some of the cartoons again so we can come up with top animated Star Wars scenes of all time. All right, good stuff there. So yeah, the Luke moment, huge. And if you're keeping score here, anyone want to guess what my next top scene is going to be as I fuck around with this, with my notes so I don't forget? All right, well, we can't let the... You know what, Sir Dork? I mean, R2 got me a little worked up too. I'll actually reflect on that more when I talk about another moment from Ahsoka with a particular droid. But yeah, anytime, it's like I'm very Pavlonian when it comes to OT era characters showing up in this era. It's just like as soon as I either hear them or see them, it's an instant like, I'm melting inside because I remember being a kid. So good stuff. And that's why I love Star Wars. Who cares about the haters? Why does it make you feel good? Or why does it make you smile? Why does it make you get teary-eyed? That's all that matters. Who gives a shit what people hate or don't like? But sticking with the same episode here, and I guess it technically could be considered all the same scene, but I think it does need to be on its own. And this one fucks me up too, mostly because I am a parent to a little one, and I do know down the road how the way things are going these days, sooner than later, it just, some of you parents out there that have made it through your kids growing up, hit me up and let me know how you coped with that shit, because I only have one, and she's going to be 8 in April, and it feels like it's over. Like I've missed, like my little kid's gone, and she's only getting older and older. And I understand that's going to be interesting too, but being a dad of an only kid and kind of realizing that the little kid moments are fleeting, and dad being the hero and the only male that she cares about is also fleeting. That stuff's fucking me up. I'm not gonna sit here and mess with it and get into a Dr. Phil session, but damn. Anyways, it leads into this scene here. The scene I am talking about is when Din Djarin decides to remove his helmet in front of other people so Grogu can look upon him with his own eyes as they say goodbye. Man, what an emotional moment. I mean, Pedro kills it. The puppeteers kill it with Grogu. But like I said, if you're a parent, or I guess even if you're one of these people that think you're a parent if you have pets, kind of the same idea. I mean, just thinking about taking something you love with every ounce of your goddamn soul. You almost died protecting this thing and raising this thing, dumping money into this thing. But knowing that the right thing to do for this, in this case, Grogu, or your young kids, or your pet, is to let them move on, to grow beyond you. Just like Luke and Yoda, or really Yoda said to Luke in TLJ, it's like, hey, you can only do so much as a master, a coach, a mentor, a dad, a parent. You got to kind of let them just take what you gave them and hope that they work it all out and ultimately teach you something in the end. But seeing Din say goodbye to Grogu after 2 seasons of trying to get him back to his people was rough. And, you know, it was last week when Connor was talking about one of his gripes from the Mandoverse era being the Book of Boba Fett, in particular the fact that they returned Grogu to Din seemingly, you know, in our time, months after this major emotional moment. It feels like it cheapened this moment. In the end, living through it live, this was still a very powerful Star Wars emotional moment, so I kept it on the list. Goodbye, little Grogu, or should we say welcome home, Din Grogu. All right, so that takes us out of Mandalorian Season 2, but I still have some top scenes from The Mandalorian. So we're in the Season 3, and really the 2 scenes from Season 3 kind of stand out. I mean, Season 3, I liked it, but I wouldn't say it had any of those moments like we just discussed from Season 1 or 2, where as a fan, especially a longtime fan, you kind of had to sit there and catch your breath after witnessing something. But I will say a moment that kind of felt like that in Mandalorian Season 3 came during the penultimate episode, and that moment is Paz Vizsla's last stand against those Praetorian guards. I know Nick and I, it was one of our top Star Wars moments of 23, so it had to make this list, top scenes of the Mandoverse era. But it is a great death. It's one of the best deaths for a named Star Wars character. It kind of put a exclamation point on the character arc of Paz Vizsla. I mean, he had a true arc over 3 seasons. He even showed up in the Book of Boba. So him and Din have always kind of been attached to each other, usually as adversaries. But throughout Season 3, you started to see how Paz was opening up to Din and Din's way of doing things, to the point that where they finally were all on the same page and they're ready to retake Mandalore. Paz was like, you know what? Din, you need to stay alive. Bo, you need to stay alive. The rest of you, this one's for you. I'm taking this for the team. And he sacrifices himself. I mean, he put up a fight, took out, I think, all of the Imperial super commandos. But once Gideon rolled out the dudes in red, it was a little too much to handle. And he fell, but it was a hero's death. He allowed the other heroes to kind of do what they need to do, gave them a little extra time, and went down like a true Spartan of Star Wars. Yeah, you know what, Sir Dork, that is right. But, you know, it shouldn't surprise us. They are Mandalorians. I doubt they're much into, giving glory. Although you'd think they'd be like Vikings and they would glorify death. Like, hey, if you die in battle, you're definitely going to go to the Mandalorian Valhalla. So you're right. It did suck. Sir Dork's just saying it kind of sucks. He didn't even get a mention by anyone after his death. Yeah, you would think even the armor might have said something, or Din probably would have been a good person to say something, since they kind of had that 360 or 180 relationship where they really started butting heads, but by the end, I think Paz greatly respected Din for kind of what he was getting into. And then the last top scene, at least from the Mandalorian franchise in the Mandoverse era, is what I call the flight of the Mandos. So this happened in the finale. This is one. It's Bo-Katan, the Armorer, Casca, you name it. They're Bo's got the dark saber out in a charge fashion, and they're all flying in with their jetpacks into Gideon's cave to start kicking ass and not taking names. It visually looked awesome. It, had great music behind it. It was intense feeling as you were going through it, and really, it was one of these. It was kind of a case study in how powerful Mandalorians are when they are together, especially when it comes to war. I mean, they did not have the same size force as Gideon had, yet with this small force, their jetpacks, their decades and years of training in the art of war, it helped them to just kick all of their asses. I mean, it was a sight to see. Seeing all these Mandos flying in the air with their jetpacks, the armor with her hammer just smashing some dude at full force, Bo-Katan cutting people down with her sword, Casca shooting people, landing, doing a flip, taking off again, shooting. It was the flight of the Mandos. It's the epitome of what Mandalorian culture is and how great they are as an organized wartime force. It's just amazing to see. So that kind of covers the top moments, at least from the Mandalorian. So we will now kick on over to Boba Fett. Do 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 Boba Fett, Boba Fett, Boba Fett. Sorry, I got problems. Happens sometimes. I get stuck in these little loops. I don't know what that's from. I've been around a few years, done some things to the head. You never know. But hey, we are in the Book of Boba Fett, and there's some people going, wait, you think there's a top scene from the Book of Boba Fett? Yeah, I actually think there's a couple, actually, if you think about it. And the first one for us is, I believe this is the end of episode 2 from the Book of Boba Fett. It's after he's been fully accepted into the Tusken Raider clan that found him and beat him for a while and treated him like a slave. But once he showed him that he could help out, killed that monster, they kind of allowed him to train with the warrior, and here we go. So the scene I'm talking about is at the end where they do this tribal dance. And I've been talking about this since the first time I saw it. I feel like Tamura had a little influence on it. It definitely had some Maori vibes to it. But it felt super authentic to Boba's journey and what Tuskens would be doing as these nomadic tribes on Tatooine. I don't know. I loved everything about it. I loved the way it looked. I loved the way it sounded. I loved the way Tamara, like how intense he was with his eyes, like, oh, ha. I mean, I want to learn how to do it. In fact, I'm going to go light a fire right now behind me, pull up the scene, and start recreating this tribal dance. So I can do it every weekend when I light a fire with the family. It just looked cool, and it helped to show how Boba Fett was changing and what he wanted at this point in his life. It was no longer, I just want to be this badass loner that everyone's scared of because they think I'm going to kill him the moment I show up. He tells us throughout the season, like, hey, I needed this family. I needed them as a family. I need you all. I need Fennec as a family. Hell, I even need Din as a family. The Vespa game, they're part of his family now. So it started to show the transition of the loner Fett into the Fett that wanted to go from kind of being a pure bounty hunter killer to someone that had more power and control over what they were getting into. So I really dug the tribal dance. Yeah, you're right. Sir Dork is correct. Getting a lot of action out of Jared today. Appreciate you, buddy. He's saying on the stream, the Book of Boba theme song along needs a mention. It does. I guess that's why I started singing it. We do have to note that the best version of the song is the one that happens during the finale, where, no joke, if you haven't heard it yet, they literally sing Boba Fett do to the beat. It's fantastic stuff. All right, another top moment from this particular series in this era is Boba's revenge on the biker gang. Now, to a lot of you hardcore Fett fans, this is probably the only moment from that series that stood out and really reminded you of the Boba Fett you grew up with. This is a scene where he finds that Nikto biker gang, the ones that the Pikes blamed on essentially killing his Tusken tribe. So right after he gets to Slave One with Fennec, instead of going back there to Hovel and making plans, he finds these dudes out in the Dune Sea. And, like a true bird of prey, he descends upon them with the Slave One and lights them up one by one using the tail gun of the Slave One. The not the seismic charge or the seismic charge. I know you love when I drop the seismic out there. But we all know what the Slave One's tail gun sounds like, too. It's another fantastic sound coming out of that ship. So a great moment. A vintage Boba Fett moment, but one that I think a lot of people would remember if you're like, hey, anyway, what stands out from the Book of Boba Fett? Oh, where the series where they made him a pussy? Well, how about the scene where he shows up with the Slave One and murders an entire gang of Nikto? Yeah, I agree. It is a top moment. All right. And you know what? Just because they look rad, they share armor, and they are boys, even though Boba is not committed to the creed. But I do have to say, oops, looks like I skipped a slide here, or I missed one. Well, anyways, before I get to the one I was just about to talk about, I did include Din getting the N1, because that happened in Book of Boba, and that, I know a lot of people don't like that episode, but in terms of a Star Wars scene and moment, Din kind of chop shopping and working on the N1 with Peli and then taking it out for his first spin. That is fucking awesome. All right. That is Star Wars. And you remember he takes up, he's flying through Mos Eisley a little bit, or Mos Espa, I can't forget which one. Then he heads out to where the pod races take place through Beggar's Canyon. He literally goes through the same track that Anakin did in The Phantom Menace. Just fucking awesome stuff. Not sure why I forgot to include the slide. Oh, well, I told you about it. So that takes me to the last moment from Book of Boba. And that's just Mando and Boba teaming up. I know the finale, there's other things like Boba riding the Rancor. That probably could have made it. Grogu showing back up. But seeing Din and Boba outside of Garsa Fwip's burned out place, just being Mandos, still pretty cool. I mean, it's rad watching two of these badasses work together, doing spin moves and shooting, flying and shooting in tandem. It just looked cool, if anything, right? We have Mr. Chrome and then Mr. Boba repaint. Just seeing those two standing there in those slit helmets, that screams Star Wars, right? Total Star Wars stuff. That's right, Nova, the SWTS Haka dance. I'll start practicing that. That way, I'll have a reason to use the continuity camera that I talked about during this week's technology segment that I went into. So, good idea. All right. So, looks like we have made it to Ahsoka, so we're winding down our top scenes from the Mandoverse era, which consisted of Mandalorian Season 1, Season 2, Season 3, Book of Boba, and now Ahsoka Season 1. So hopefully everyone's been having fun with this listicle countdown. Not that these were really ranked. I will do a ranking probably next week when Nick's get back. Well, at least, hey, these were our top 5s. But I do think down the road, maybe at the end of, maybe not next week, but the week after, once we get through the sequel trilogy top scenes, I think Nick and I should do our top 5, top 10 overall scenes to kind of put this series to bed. All right. So moving into Ahsoka, top scene here from this era has to be the introduction, the arrival of Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati. Okay. I mean, really, the whole moment from the time they show up on the New Republic cruiser till it cuts. We got a Baylan hallway scene. We got Baylan stabbing New Republic officers. We got Shin literally just mowing people down left and right with eyes that could kill. I mean, if you're on the live stream, you can see it right now. She just got that. Her eyes are looking at you like, I am going to kill you with my lightsaber the moment I get next to you. Not only did it intro us to two of now the most memorable Star Wars villains / not villains. But it looked awesome. We got another hallway scene. It showed us how imposing Ray Stevenson looks as a Force user. But it also showed us how quick, nimble, and evil Shin could be. So it was a great character introduction for Ahsoka for these two gems. But it also was one of those Star Wars action moments that just stands out because of how rad it looked. And you can't really say Baylan was more fun to watch than Shin or vice versa, because they each had some awesome looking stuff go down in the opening to Ahsoka. All right. Another moment from Ahsoka, and this one made our top Star Wars moments of 23 list, so it has to make our top scenes from this era list. And that is the Baylan and Ahsoka duel on SWTS. I mean, Nick and I have talked about this scene a million times. It's just awesome. It looks like a Star Wars duel. You can feel the samurai influence that has affected Star Wars since the days of George Lucas creating it and then passing those ideas and mantras on to Dave Filoni. Rey was awesome in it. Rosario was awesome in it. The dialogue their characters were saying was poignant. It was eye-opening. It was lore-revealing. And, it kind of ended on a cliffhanger. I told everyone that he was going to knock her off the cliff. Nick didn't believe me. Get with the program, all right? When I lay down to take it to the bank, take it to the bank, cha-ching! You know what I mean? And don't forget to sub to the Star Wars Time Show on YouTube. It's a fantastic Star Wars lightsaber duel. It had great dialogue. It felt very Star Wars correct, both visually and with the dialogue. And Kevin Kiner's score just kind of was the cherry on top. So Baylan versus Ahsoka on SWTS, another top scene from the Mandoverse era. You only know what that is if you listen to the Stern Show, and hell, maybe 20 years ago if you listen to the Stern Show. All right, another top moment coming from Ahsoka, and listen, this also made our top moments of 23. Don't forget, check out that episode if you missed it. It's up on YouTube and podcast platforms. But the other top moment, I have to go with the World Between Worlds stuff from Ahsoka. And if you want a particular moment, I'm going to go with Anakin's kind of phasing in and out of Lord Vader and Anakin Skywalker. It's brilliant. It was brilliant visually. The eye changes, the armor flashes. Hayden was awesome. He looked great, sounded great, acted superbly. Rosario, same thing, killed it on all fronts, was acting very well, was really channeling the spirit of Ahsoka. But it's just everything about the World Between Worlds and what went down between Ahsoka and her master Skywalker was just chef's kiss Star Wars. It was amazing. I mean, it's like, thank you. This is the Anakin Skywalker I want to see more and more of. I don't care if he's a Force ghost now, because he's much more intriguing to watch, to learn about, and to love. And if anything, it'll give Hayden more work, so let's keep it up. Okay, Dave, bring him back. We know Anakin's got to be in Ahsoka season 2. Why wouldn't he be? He's now confirmed Force ghost, hanging out with Ahsoka, watching over her and Sabine. So why not? But all these moments in WBW stand out. If we're picking just one, it's probably after all the lessons, right before Ahsoka gets it and beats him and learns the lesson. That's what I'll go with. But great stuff there by everyone involved, especially Hayden motherfucking Christensen. All right, sorry about the thumbs up. Sometimes Mac just is catching my thumbs doing its thing. There's a peace sign. What's this one do again? I think peace sign's just balloons, maybe. Peace. Balloon it up, people. Oh yeah, there they are. Gotta love it. I love you, Mac OS, and all your little dynamic AR stuff you're doing for me. There's some hearts going out to our Fandos, League, Devin, Sir Dork, Nova. Get some. That's right. League is a huge fan of the Ahsoka soundtrack, as she should be. It's good stuff. Kiner, the man. All right. What else? So any other moments from Ahsoka? I don't know. Let's click away and see. It looks like we got at least 3 more to go. Sure we do. And guess what? I snuck this one in here because young Nick's not here today, and I didn't want to hear him bitching and moaning about Thrawn. But let's be real. Whether you liked Thrawn's strategies or not in Ahsoka, you can't deny that his arrival, the way they shot it, the Chimera just kind of popping up from that phallic Night Sister structure, the music, Thrawn walking out and all of his cronies going, Thrawn, 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 Thrawn. I mean, come on. I mean, just if you're on the stream, look at the visual of the Chimera cresting the Great Mother's penis structure. Just fantastic stuff, man. Seeing the gold plating, that orchestral, organ-esque type of music. And then, like I said, the reveal is Lars in the makeup. You see Enoch for the first time. But then all his sycophant night troopers just like, Thrawn, 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 Thrawn. Just dug it. Like I said, snuck it in here while young Nick was out. So don't tell on me, please. All right? We good with that? Okay, good. I don't want to upset him while he's sick. So thank you for letting me do that. All right. Look at that. I think Sir Dork guessed this one, but very similar to R2's arrival in Mandalorian with Luke S2E8. Like I said, when we were talking about that scene, even after all the emotions of knowing Luke was there, and then, Luke shows up and then behind them comes R2, it was like a double emotional gut punch. It was I think I had an audible gasp like, oh my God, they're doing R2 too. I can't handle it. It was an amazing moment. Look, I'm upsetting my cat, Leia. It's okay. I'm okay. Okay? I'm sorry. You're going to have to just go back to your little seat back there, okay? Can you go back to your... There you go. Thank you. Sorry about that. The cats get emotional when they think I'm emotional. You know what I mean? But anyways, back to my point here. Very similar to how R2 made me feel in The Mandalorian. That's how I felt when I saw Goldenrod in Ahsoka. And I'll be honest, C-3PO has never really been a character that I've been like, yeah, C-3PO. But for some reason, when these characters from my childhood show up again in other properties like Ahsoka, as I said, it's very Pavlovian. It's almost like I'm hearing that damn bell. As soon as I saw him on the screen, he didn't even have to start talking. I was just like, oh, look, it's C-3PO. I love it. I'm going to melt in a puddle of Star Wars emotional goo. It was just great. And then you hear Daniel's voice in there, and I don't know. I love it. And every time I see C-3PO in a property, I want to buy a C-3PO hot toy. The problem is, once I get to Sideshow to plunk money on it and I look at C-3PO again, I can't do it. He's out there right now. There's a Return of the Jedi die-cast C-3PO. I'm sure he's fantastic. Yes, I do have a 1/6 scale R2. I pre-ordered a 1/6 scale chopper. It's like, I know, I almost have to get the C-3PO, but for some reason I can't pull the freaking trigger. Can't do it. But I do love him, even though he is a dickhead to R2-D2, and the reason that R2-D2 actually shuts himself down in the sequel trilogy. In the movies, they'll say it's R2 just being sad that, Luke essentially kicked him off the island, and that's not true at all. It's R2 just had enough of the emotional abuse from Goldenrod here. He's like, enough's enough. It's like, I've saved your ass literally since you were created. I've saved all these meatbags ass millions of times, and I never get any credit. Just because I'm a lowly astromech, no one decides to give me medals or oil baths or to talk about how great I am. And then your yappity ass C-3PO, you protocol droid, you do all the talking for me, and you're not even telling them exactly what I'm saying. You make me sound like I'm some crazy ass murder bot when I'm actually very well spoken and very under control when it comes to my emotions. Yeah, Bat wants the clean one. So Bat, you and I, we need to push each other to get the Return of the Jedi C-3PO hot toys. Okay, I'll push you, you push me. Although I went up there. Sorry, tangent time. I was on Sideshow 2 days ago because, you know what? Today feels like a good day to add a few more pre-orders to my ever-growing list. It's not like I ever feel like paying off my credit cards. And I added the Ahsoka Night Trooper and then the Ahsoka, just Captain Enoch. And I looked, and I currently have $160 in credit on Sideshow. So I think if I could get that close to 200, I might finally be able to pull the trigger on C-3PO. We'll see. Oh, sorry about that. That's some bonus content for you all today. My burp is my co-host. Hey, speaking of not having a co-host, my dumb ass is going to go for over 2 hours. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Probably not. You guys will have to let me know once the show's over, but crap. That is a lot of one dude talking. Okay, let's get back to this list. We'll get to the fan segment and get the hell out of here. I thought I was going to be done by 6:30. Here we are. There's always time for Star Wars time, especially if Matt has free reign to talk about it nonstop with no one else here to pause for. And the last top moment from the Mandoverse era, and it happens to be from Ahsoka. And it's probably going to upset people, especially Nick. But I have to say, it's not even necessarily this particular moment, but getting to see Ezra Bridger, Sabine Wren, and Ahsoka Tano together in their new forms. So Ahsoka the White, Ezra the Moses, and Sabine the Tar Vizsla sequel. I think this is awesome shit. All right. Being a huge fan of Rebels, a huge fan of Ezra, clearly getting him in live action was fantastic. Getting Sabine in live action was fantastic. But to me, the really standout moment is when Ezra, Sabine, and Ahsoka unite as unaligned Force users to go and take on Thrawn at the Night Sister Temple there. It was just cool. I mean, we're getting to see these Force users, most of them from a singular cartoon, come together in live action and do cool shit with the Force and lightsabers. And I know we've seen that in other Star Wars TV shows, but it was just nice to kind of see the culmination of this season leading to Ezra, Sabine, and Ahsoka teaming up for the first time, all as Force users, all with lightsabers, all with the ability to manipulate the Force, some better than others. I don't know. It was awesome to see. Whether it was, nonsensical, farcical, good guys always win type of shit. I like seeing these three together, working on a plan, and for the most part, kicking the shit out of the bad guys. So that will do it. So those are our top scenes from the Mandoverse era. Like I said, I think next week, maybe during pop culture talk, we'll recap our personal 5 favorite. That way Nick can kind of play a little bit. We'll put this segment to bed, and then we'll finish the whole topic next week when we go through our top scenes from the sequel trilogy. And yes, somehow Palpatine Returned is not on that list. All right, cool. Hopefully you all enjoyed that little special topic. We will keep doing them as long as we have to, because there's still not a lot of official news to dive into, because that's kind of what our show is. It is stern-esque. We don't really do a lot of bits, but we like to comment on current events. I like to act like an idiot, sometimes get angry, and obviously break down real Star Wars, or these days get into the special topics. You know what I mean? So no rain on this feed today, friends. All right. Well, that is going to take us into this week's fan segment. That is right. We dedicate a segment to our fans on a weekly basis. Some people call us insane for doing so, and I agree with them, because I put a lot of effort into making fans feel good about themselves, and it usually does not result in those fans making us feel good about ourselves and our show. But that's okay. That's not why we do it. We really do it because I do like celebrating Star Wars and other fans that are into it almost as much as myself and young Nick. So the way we do our fan segment here, we give you 2 avenues to participate. The first one is going to be the fan question of the week. So every week we post a question to StarWarsTime.show on Instagram, both in the stories and in our profile. All you have to do is somehow figure out a way to get Instagram to show it to you. Best way to do that is like as much content of ours as possible, make us a favorite, turn on notifications, and just reply. More than likely, you're going to get your comment read during this exact segment. So let's go ahead and kick things off. We'll bring up our handy dandy Slack window. There it is. All right. So this week's question was, if you missed it, name a top moment from the Star Wars TV shows set after Return of the Jedi. And I will tell you that some people did not follow directions, but that is to be expected on the internet. Really, with most humans these days, I don't think directions are paid attention to. All right. So we actually got some good feedback today. It's not just the usuals, which is nice. Sometimes it's just our hardcore fandos, which we love. But we would like to get some new blood in here, some new voices, if you know what I'm talking about. All right. So up first, our boy Mando_mugshots, who may or may not be in this week's top 5, the next fan segment topic. He says, got to be the Luke's hallway scene at the end of Mando S2. That was some of the best TV of all time, let alone Star Wars. I felt 12 years old once again and pulled on every heartstring. Well, Mando mugshots, if you listen to my explanation of that moment, we agree. I'm with you 100%. Kill Cutter photo. It's like a who's who of this week's top 5 showing up in the fan question of the week. You gotta love it. A little cross promo from Mando and Kill Cutter. Kill Cutter saying, say what you want about Book of Boba Fett, but Boba riding a Rancor made 10-year-old me squeal with joy. Luke showing up on Mando to fight the droids was amazing too. All right, there you go. It's okay. Hey, listen, Kill Cutter. You don't, at least at the Star Wars Time show, you never have to justify your fandom. The only thing I'm going to make you justify is your overly positive opinion on Revenge of the Sith. And that's just because I got mental problems with that movie. All right, moving on. Hey, Sir Dork is up in here too. Might still be in the live stream chat. We love Jared. Jared has to say, my first thought is always Mando S2 E1. Everything about that episode is just so cool and cinematic. Probably my favorite episode of Star Wars ever. That's interesting. Unless he had a typo, S2 E1 is when I believe it opens with Mando. They're kind of at that fighting den. He's looking for information on Mandalorians, and he ends up hanging that character by his legs. The character's voiced by John Leguizamo. So, interesting pick here. It was a good premiere episode from what I remember, and it ends with the crate dragon battle, I believe. So, I got you, Jared. I got you. I feel that. I can feel that. All right, Burkhead Toys. They were a top 5er last week. The live action appearance of Cad Bane, played by the Clone Wars voice actor. I really enjoyed all the animated voices being used in live action, but I screamed when his silhouette appeared in the desert. I did. I really contemplated on including Cad Bane as a top scene. I probably should have when you think about it. So when I get off of this episode, I'm going to go upstairs into the basement, and I'm going to go ahead and punch myself in the balls. All right? Thank you. We got a few more to get through here. Lego Shock 0451 official. Sounds like these are a lot of Discord members. Speaking of Discord, if you want to come join the SWTS Discord, we do, as of right now, excuse me, have an open link. I might start paywalling that bad boy if I turn on YouTube subscriptions, just so there's like some value to paying us 50 cents every month. But anyways, we got that. There's an open link on our Instagram at StarWarsTime.show. Check out the bio link. But Lego Shock official saying Din Djarin walking into the bar during the cold open of episode 1 of season 1. It's super cool. Yes, I agree, Lego Shock. I too listed that as a top scene. Our boy Bat, aka 2797_studios on Instagram. For me, Luke's return to Mando was the top moment. Boba in the Sarlacc pit was a long-awaited scene. Anakin and Ahsoka together again also tugs on the old heartstrings. There you go. Bat always can't just pick one. It's okay. I know it's difficult. All right. Scion XTC, another longtime fan. If I'm picking a single moment, I'm going with the reveal of Grogu for the first time. The mixture of feelings of being amazed and shocked that there is a baby of Yoda's species and why was he so wanted. Agreed. And if you tuned into the show, that also made our list. So you will not be kicked off the SWTS Island, Scion. Johnny Osage Avenue, also in today's stream. The opening scene of Mando S1E1 as the bar door opens and we get this iconic image with a new variation along with this new sound of Ludwig Göransson's bass recorder. It was like, let's go! All right. Remember, at least when I do the reading, I will enunciate as written. All right, we got something here from BLK series Natural Light. Andor finale. Stormtroopers with actual lethal intent. Gritty, amazing speech by Marva. Rebellion in the truest sense. Also Luthen's speech about sacrifice. All right, well, BLK series Natural Light, you missed the finer points of this week's question. It's okay. We're not going to crucify you. But this needed to be 2 weeks ago because we're talking about Star Wars TV post Return of the Jedi. But it's all right. You still made it. We spoke your name. May the Force be with you. And last but not least, SpaceX_toy_photos. My favorite involved the Skywalkers, but it's got to be the Luke rescue from Season 2 Mandalorian. Tales from Chess Station. Tales from Tashi Station. There we go. I got it. Tales from... Hey, my father Django, showing up for the fan segment. Welcome. But Tales from Tashi Station also saying Luke coming back in Mando Season 2. Easy. Done. Mando_pirate. Another fando. Probably Din showing his face to Grogu. Oh, there you go. So a lot of you... I expected a lot of Luke showing up, but we're getting some other ones that I mentioned that I thought might not be brought up by the fans. So killing it. All right, his.cryptic_mayhem. I will say both Mando S1 to S2 and 2.5, then Andor. Maybe even Book of Boba Fett involving the Sand People tribe background and how Boba escaped the Sarlacc. All right, so Cryptic again, a little all over the eras here, but a few in there that we have mentioned, especially the Sand People tribe. So I'm digging it. You fans, you got some high IQ this week. And then Tyrannus Figs 1120, Boba Fett's first cameo. I think he's talking about the, I'm guessing the one I did on Tython and not the one where he just kind of walks through, I think it's the end of S2E1. Mando and Grogu, they're driving away with their haul of crate meat and his armor. He's spying on them, then he walks towards camera. I'm thinking Tyrannus is talking about on Tython where he shows up and starts smashing stormtrooper faces. All right. So there you go. There is the... what the hell happened here? Those are our question of the week responses this week. Not entirely sure why the window's all over the place. Who gives a shit? Now we will transition back to... the top 5 Star Wars fan artist features. So real quick, since Nick's not here to set this one up. Every week on Instagram at StarWarsTime.show, yours truly, right here, the guy with the beard, I wake up in the morning and I look at hashtag Star Wars Time Show. I look at any of our tagged shots. And I will make a little reel of some of the more standout Star Wars art that people have shared with us over the past 24 hours. Then on Monday, young Nick sits down and he looks at our tagged section only. So add tag, this is what you need to do, add tag at StarWarsTime.show. That's where Nick looks to choose the top 5. So throughout the week, you can expect reels of some of my favorite shots shared with us. And then on Monday, Nick typically chooses the top 5, which only comes from the ad tagged shots. So please ad tag at StarWarsTime.show and use hashtag StarWarsTimeShow on all of your Star Wars content, just so we can see it. That's really it. It's so we can see it. It's so hard to even just use hashtags these days on IG. That's why the ad tag is very crucial. So anyways, this is who Nick went with this week, and we will honor them. Up first, like I said, I teased it earlier. I spoiled it. But we have Mando _ mugshots with a shot of Mando and Grogu. It's almost like Mando mugshots is giving us some concept art or a set pick from the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. So in the image, you got Grogu. He's like levitating on something. He's doing some training. It seems he ended up stealing his Yoda's green lightsaber from Luke anyways. And Din's putting him through a little training, and Grogu is sitting there levitating his little green lightsaber up in the air as his daddy looks on and appreciates it. And Grogu's sitting there with his hand outstretched, using the Force on it. It is a cool shot. It's a timely shot, like I said, with all the Mando and Grogu news. So kudos to Mando mugshots. There are some fireworks for you there. I didn't mean to do that. I just did a double thumbs up, and I keep forgetting that my computer now will do something with those types of reactions here. What's it? Is it? Yeah, double thumbs down. I've not gotten to resonate yet. That's the rainy one. Come on. Yeah, there's the rain. Boo-hoo. Double thumbs down. Boo-hoo. All right, so don't forget at Mando _ mugshots on Instagram. Give them a follow. And moving right along, up next we have Revens _ toy picks. We got a great shot of Boba Fett in his repaint armor. So yeah, he's got the gaffy stick. This would be the Book of Boba Fett. And what's cool about this shot is it's outdoors and all practical. So we got some particles getting kicked up. It looks like we got some nice golden hour sun coming in. It's kind of a low lit shot, which really makes it stand out, makes it feel a bit more artistic. But what was cool about this one, I read the caption here because I'm nosy like that. But Revan's Toy Pick used this shot for college credit. So I was like, that's pretty awesome. Using Star Wars toy photography for college coursework. Yeah, you deserve to be in the top 5. So this is at Revens _ toy picks over on Instagram. Make sure to give them a follow. All right, the next top 5 this week, and it's a returning top 5er from last week. So this account is on fire. They clearly have a Star Wars muse right now, but we're talking about Tiny Epic Photos. So Tiny Epic Photos, all one word on Instagram. Last week, we just talked about Tiny's Star Killer shot, which was awesome. This week, it may be even better. So what we see here, it's kind of a close-up of the battle damage Vader from the Kenobi series, Black Series figures, that is. You know, it's that hunched over look from the actual show where he's just yelling, Kenobi! You know, just yelling at him. Obi-Wan! Because, you know, Obi-Wan just walking away like, hey, fuck you idiot. You lost, I won. But it's an awesome shot. You can feel the anger and the pain flowing through Anakin / Vader in this shot. It shows you just how great of a Black Series figure this is. The lightsaber work, it kind of has that chaotic energy blade like you would see in Kylo's, crossguard lightsaber. It's just, I mean, really, it feels very Tiny Epic Photos correct. So it's got their style. But with the Dark Lord of Sith in there, it's hard not to honor Tiny Epic twice in 1 month. So Tiny Epic Photos, we speak your name. Excellent work this term on your Star Wars toy photography. Okay, number 4 here, and this is just a banger. Goes to show you just how creative this motherfucker is, and I use motherfucker lovingly in this case here, but I'm talking about at Kill Cutter Photo, all one word, over on Instagram. And he's created something he's calling nightmare fuel, which is Demon Maul. So envision Darth Maul without his shirt on, and he has demon like bat wings coming out of his back. His bow lightsaber is split in two. He's got them crossed over his head, and we're kind of looking up at him, and we're looking up at him from the perspective of xenomorph aliens from the Alien franchise. So this has like mashups from other sci-fi. It's kit bashing the Darth Maul figure, but it's all done with Kill Cutter's amazing style and Kill Cutter's ability to really kind of tune things up in post and do some really rad stuff in Photoshop and whatnot. But this is a poster, my friends. I don't know if Kill Cutter's still in here, if they're able to join, but this is a work of dark side art. This is nightmare fuel. This is nightmare fuel I 100% want hanging in the SWTS HQ. Stat. I'm talking stat. Like today. You know, confetti type of stuff. I mean, let's celebrate this. This needs celebrated. This is just fantastic stuff, but it should not surprise you if you know of at Kill Cutter Photo. Just amazing work here. If you are listening, Kill Cutter, and you want to send a high-end copy our way, just let me know. I'll help you out, okay? I'm just fucking around. Great shot at Kill Cutter Photo. All right, and last but certainly not least, we have a twin sun banger, a natural light gem from the master of the sun himself, Ches Pix 66, all one word, over on IG. And if you've been here before, you've seen Chez's work in the top 5. This dude's got one of the best natural shooting locations in America. It's somewhere there in the Northeast, I believe. It must be mighty cold these days to be shooting up there, but it is worth it because we're looking at a great shot of Din and Grogu in the N1 cruising across the Tatooine desert from Ches Pix. And as I said, Ches Pix is almost always 100% practical. Whatever is in lens is what he shoots, and whatever light the sun is giving him, that's what he gets. Obviously, he's adding the second sun in here, or maybe just cloning the existing sun. But I mean, this is just—it's the epitome of a Ches Pix 66 shot. It just that's what this artist does. Looks fantastic. You can feel the speed of the N1 going through. You can see Grogu up there raising his hands, woohoo, eating macaroons, having a great time. So quality work here from at Ches Pix 66. Boom! And that, my friends, takes us to the end of E293. A solo episode that I did, and it took me 2 hours and 14 minutes to get through. So hopefully, I'm sure Nick Nation was not a huge fan of this episode. You never know. Maybe they'll be bigger fans of Matt. At least I wasn't stepping on Nick this week, right? He wasn't here to get stepped on. But anyways, it was a fun show. Hopefully you all enjoyed listening to my dumbass do this by myself. Next week, Nick should be back. Like I said, I hope to continue our countdown of top scenes from all live action Star Wars. We have our last era to cover next week, which is going to be the sequel trilogy. I think we've got like 14 moments at this point in time. So make sure to tune in next week. But in between now and next week, don't forget about StarWarsTime.net. You can always hit up StarWarsTime.net throughout the week in between shows to see if we've posted any new Star Wars news, rumors, hot takes, shorts, comic book breakdowns. You never know what could show up on StarWarsTime.net. Even if there's no new content to check out, you still need to know about StarWarsTime.net because it's the best place to go to on the internet to tell fans about the Star Wars Time show. Like, hey, you like Star Wars? You like weirdos? You like guys that might not be mentally stable talking about Star Wars and one of them freaks out at least once a month? Check out the Star Wars Time show. Oh, really? Where can I find more information about that? Well, just head on over to StarWarsTime.net. See how easy it is? You all can do it too. So don't forget, any noobs you see out there, any fans be like, hey, I've been thinking about listening to these guys. I've heard some bad things though. No bad things. Go form your own opinion. Check out the show. Start with StarWarsTime.net. Hit the subscribe to podcast links. Get yourself on a podcast. And by the way, when you're there, go ahead and rate, review, like, comment. And if podcast's not your thing, don't worry. Stay on StarWarsTime.net. Scroll down a little bit. On that right side, you're going to see subscribe to YouTube. You can click on that, and it'll take you right to our YouTube channel and add you as a subscriber. All we ask, once you get to YouTube, just make sure to turn those notifications on. When you see our content coming through, try to check it out. Give it a like, give it a content, give it a share. All right, my friends, I'm getting hungry. I'm getting tired. Talking this long is not normal for a person to do by themselves. So I must bid you all farewell. Just keep your eyes peeled out on our socials, both TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. I'll be cutting up some more clips from really the past few weeks of shows. So you can find clips of Nick and I. You might find clips of Connor and I talking. You never know. Just keep your eyes peeled for the Star Wars Time Show clips. And if you do happen to see one in your feed, it'd be great if you'd share it. Maybe leave a comment, share it, and say, hey, these guys are stupid. You need to see how dumb they are. Like, hey, these guys are awesome. You need to see how awesome they are. I would personally love that type of shit. You know, I love getting the supers during the lives and seeing the money come across. But to me, what's most important is the following, the feedback. Do you like us? Do you hate us? I don't care. I just need to know you're listening or watching and hating and loving. That's it. The money will come. The money is secondary. All right, everyone. As you all know, there's always time for Star Wars Time. And if you listen to the Star Wars Time Show, the Force will be with you always.